Alright guys, we have a new Imagine Round battle today, and that's going to be versus the resurrected version of Toji. And this one is actually quite tough, like a lot harder than the Imagine Round we have been getting for the last few months. So I can definitely see a step up in the challenge here, which I think it fully deserves. We are talking about resurrected Toji after all. So I do feel like it's quite nice to just step up in challenge, but not gonna lie, it's going to be difficult, okay? Now, I'll be showing you guys two different strategies on how to basically get all of the reward for this special mode. The EX mode, you can just follow the same strategy. It's pretty much the same battle anyway. The main difficulty is going to be this special battle. And what you want to aim for is going to be for at least 25 points, just so that you can get those extra cubes. You can go for 28 as well. It's definitely going to be tough. I haven't tried, but I do feel like even I will be having a challenge here if I'm only restricted to using free-to-play character. I feel like limited character is going to be quite needed to go to 28. But for 25, which is basically the most important one because that actually gives you the cubes, you can definitely do it with using only free-to-play standard banner characters, okay? Now, I'll be showing you guys two different strat on doing this, mainly because you have to pick some of the restrictions early on, and the restriction you have to pick, one of them basically forces you to choose either a buffing team or a debuffing team, and also this one forces you to choose either a physical attacker or a curse technique attacker, and you do want to actually go through all of the different combinations because as you can see, some of them actually have cubes, okay, especially for this number 3, which is basically deciding on whether or not you want to go for buff or debuff. Now, luckily, you don't have to aim for 25 on both of your runs, because you can basically just get those 25, get this one-time reward, and then for your second run, you basically untick those of the other handicap to make it easier for you. But still, you kind of need to go through at least one of them, and depending on what team you have, one could be a lot easier than the other, and that's kind of what I'm going to show you guys two different strategies. One is going to be one based on a debuffing team, one is going to be based on a buffing team. I have also used the physical attacker for the debuffing team and also curse technique attacker for the buffing team, but you can probably mix and match depending on who is your strongest character, okay? Now, just go through all of the handicap. For number 1, pick this one, so the enemy actually recover HP. For the second one, that's kind of depending on the box, either pick physical or pick curse technique. For number 3, once again, based on your team, either go for a debuffing strategy or for a buffing strategy. Number 4, you want to pick this one, which basically decreases your ult gauge. Number 5, you want to pick this one, which decreases your formation. And number 6, for the debuffing strat, I'll probably say pick 6A. For the buffing strat, I would say pick 6B, okay? Now for the EX modes, basically you want to aim for 25, so basically you have to untick 5 of them. The first 4 you definitely want to untick because the enemy hits very hard, so you can't really have the enemy surviving for too long. A lot of the battle already go kind of around the 20 turns mark, so that's already quite dangerous. You do not want to extend that any further, okay? And then as for the last one to remove, so you'll see my gameplay later on. I was actually experimenting a bit, but after my few runs, I personally feel like this is probably the one you want to remove. Okay, so remove this one, which will be increasing the cooldown of your recollection. This will help your survivability a lot more because you will see later on all of the recollection I'll use are predominantly healing focus. So this to me is actually quite important for you to not select. Now, if you actually watch my gameplay for the debuffing team using Toji, you will see I actually selected this because I was experimenting. So don't follow that strategy completely. Instead, what you want to do is you want to untick this one, okay? So that will make up the 5 that you'll be removing, and the rest can add up to 25, giving you the opportunity to collect all of the rewards. Okay, so this is gonna be the debuff or handicap you want to pick. Now let me show you the two teams. This is a debuffing strat using debuffers and also Toji, so basically a physical attacker. And this is a buffing strat using buffers, mono red buffers, and also using Nobara. So basically this is a curse technique attack, okay? Now let's start off with the debuffing one. So debuffing one, obviously you want to only bring debuffers rather than buffers, so that's kind of why the choice of Megami and also Yaga here. The choice of Maki here is because the enemy would be using only physical attackers, physical attack because he's Toji obviously. So you actually want to use Maki's skill 2 to spam physical technique reduction. Okay, and then the other thing you're also going to do is that you will actually change the recollection on Toji rather than do a usual, for example, Lucky Money Sister or someone which would buff your attack. Because all of the buff are severely reduced, you're going for debuffing strategy here. Instead, what you're actually going to pick is you're going to pick this recollection, which have the benefit of actually doing a damage dealt decrease when the enemy is debuffed. And because your Maki will be essentially spamming that debuffing skill, this will always trigger. Okay, so this actually helps your survivability, and because this is the debuff effect rather than buff effect, you can actually get full advantage of this. Okay. Now that's basically gonna be the choice of character and also recollection. In terms of strategy itself, Maki just spam, Toji just hit, Megami try to build up his domain expansion and then spam his skill 1. The only thing you have to kind of play around slightly is gonna be the choice of what move to use on Yaga, because you actually need to choose between skill 2 and also skill 3. Now, skill 3 is a usual one where you're trying to buff up your attack, so it's going to be quite obvious why you may want to choose skill 3. But skill 2 is also very, very important here because you are also able to apply another physical technique decrease. And if you actually add up everything, you can get to like 100% physical technique decrease, and that will severely reduce the amount of damage you'll be taking. Okay, so that's kind of why you will be using skill 2 quite frequently in this battle as well. And in fact, I'll probably say the only time you'll be using skill 3 rather than skill 2 are going to be during the turns of Megami's domain expansion for those 4 turns, because you're trying to basically go for a nuke with Toji's ultimate attack. You want to make sure you build up as much debuff as possible. So probably only for those 4 turns of domain expansion, I'll be using skill 3. All of the other turns I'll be using skill 2. And having said that, there's also going to be one exception, which is that even doing domain expansion, if the enemy is about to use his ult, which hit extremely hard, you will also be using skill 2 rather than skill 3. Okay, yes, skill 3 is nice, but because you're not using mono yellow team, it's not like a crazy amount of debuff anyway, and survivability is going to be a lot more important. So even doing the 4 turns of domain expansion, if the enemy is about to ult in one of those 4 turns, then what you want to do is use skill 2 just for that one single turn where the enemy ult, okay, because this only lasts for 1 turn anyway. All of the other 3 turns will be basically using your skill 3 to build up as much debuff as possible, and then your Toji go for nuke, and basically your Toji need to nuke twice. Okay, so that's going to be the debuffing strats. And also, by the way, I haven't shown you this, but just take it for granted, all of my character have the first level of potential unlock, and the DPS have the second level unlocked as well. Okay, it's just too much effort for me to show you the potential one by one, but essentially all of the character, okay, maybe not Maki, but all of the other characters have their first level unlocked, and then DPS, the one doing the damage, is going to have the second level unlocked as well. Okay. For Nobara, similar kind of thing. I don't have as many potential unlocked on her, but still a fair amount. So the first level is completely unlocked. Okay, so first level is going to be completely unlocked here. Second level, I'll have unlocked all of the ones which increase the stats. I'm just missing the one which increase the kind of the damage dealt skill. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And for the supporters here in the strat, they have their first level unlocked as well. Okay, both of them have first level unlocked, and also Red Panda also have his first level unlocked. Okay, so what's going to be the strat for this buffing curse technique? So basically, it's just a standard buffing strat, and you'll be using Red Panda to basically taunt off the enemy attack, because basically the enemy, vast majority of the time, will only be doing single target. The only time he would be using an AoE attack is going to be his ult, and every 3 or 4 turns, he will also use an AoE attack, which can actually stun you. Okay, so vast majority of the time, you're actually able to taunt off the enemy attack. And the rotation for Red Panda is always going to be start off with skill 2, then the next turn, because this the taunt actually lasts for 2 turns. Then for the second turn, you can go into skill 1. Then for the third turn, because the taunt has expired, you will go into skill 2 again. And then for the fourth turn, you should have able to build enough full sausage count. You then use skill 3 to actually basically recover off your HP. Okay, so that's basically the rotation. So skill 2, skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, and basically always go into this 4-turn cycle. Only exception is going to be when you may want to do a combo ult, in which case you would just delay the cycle by 1 turn. Okay. Now, in terms of your Yaga and the Nanami, basically you would be just buffing them. However, you don't want to buff them throughout the whole match, because you would run out of curse energy eventually. So instead, you would want to time it so that you only start buffing them just 4 turns before your Nobara is about to use his skill 3, okay? So in terms of when you actually want to use the buffing skills on Yoga and enemy, it's going to be more tied into your skill rotation for your Red Nobara, okay? So now let's talk about the skill rotation for Red Nobara. So Red Nobara, what you want to do is, because Red Nobara will be used in Pride, what you want to do is you want to time it so that your skill 3 and then also your ult are back to back. So what that basically means is that also to get the most out of your skill 3, ideally you actually want to get a maximum one curse nail count is 11, so try to go for at least 10 or 11, okay? So what you want to do is you actually want to build up your skill 2 at least 4 or 5 times, and then use your skill 1 twice, and then go for a skill 3, and then go for ultimate attack. Okay, so that's basically going to be the rotation. And because you can see this is actually a very, very long skill rotation, that's kind of why there's absolutely no need for your Yoga and enemy to start buffing very, very early up. Now, because you will be using like this at least 4 or 5 turns anyway, what I would suggest is that you basically keep an eye on the enemy's nail count and only have your Yoga and enemy start buffing when the nail count is at probably at least 3 or 4 onwards, okay? So there's no need for your Yoga and enemy to buff any earlier than that. Now, in terms of regression, basically all healing based regression, you also want this one on Red Panda because it also recovers curse energy. Red Panda skill 2, the damage reduction is scaled towards your own curse energy anyway. So that's kind of a slight gap. It's the best regression here. And like I said, you also have Pride on your Nobara to basically do your consecutive nuking, okay, with your skill 3 and also skill 4. Now, in terms of your ultimate attack on combos, you want to combo up between your Yoga and also Nanami, and also combo up between your Red Panda and also your Red Nobara. Now, vast majority of the time, the turn that you will be using the nuke on Red Nobara is always going to be fixed, so you always just happen to combo up with Red Panda for those turns. Now, in terms of the timing of when you actually want to do a combo attack between Yoga and Nanami, the timing for you to do it is actually the 1 turn before enemy's ult, and the reason for this is this ultimate attack from Yoga actually have a damage decrease to apply to the enemy, okay? So enemy's ultimate attack, that's going to be the one that's hit the hardest because it's an AoE. All of the other ones will be taunted by Red Panda anyway, so it doesn't really matter. However, because the ultimate attack is going to be an AoE, that's kind of why you want to time the combo attack between Yoga and enemy to either the turn enemy's about to ult or 1 turn before the enemy's about to ult, so that you basically debuff their AoE ult nuke, okay? So that's going to be the timing of when you do the combo attack. But other than that, this is kind of what just pretty much a standard sustain and damage. You would have to use your Nobara probably nuke 3 different turns, 3 different times. So this whole match can take up to probably like around 25 turns. So do be prepared for a long battle here, okay?